heard lapwing, I have heard some curlew, so if they're around home they should be up on the fells as well. And I actually have sunshine. I have been out beginning of the week, but it was a bit cloudy and I spent the entire time chasing an owl. Like about 4 hours just chasing an owl, and for an hour and a half of that the owl sat in a tree and refused to move, so it wasn't the most interesting content. But I now know where that barn owl is, so I will be returning there tonight to find it. Also had a good chat to the farmers up there. They know who I am now, but they stopped me last year, and then another one stopped me this year, obviously asking what I was doing, because I just drive around the same roads basically, and I'm usually driving pretty slowly, and so I probably do look really suspicious. But I've got new camera, Canon R1, and I've got a new gadget for my car that goes over, kind of over the door, and then it has a gimbal on, so I'll show you that. Yeah, I'm getting to grips with this camera. It's taken me longer than I thought it would. Usually I can just switch cameras and it's fine. I had an R3 before this, and that was my change from DSLR to mirrorless. I don't like mirrorless as much as DSLR, I have to say. I don't think the quality is as good from my experience so far. Like, the tracking is incredible. They have, God, it is really bouncy. The tracking on them is incredible. I can't deny that. Like, the eye tracking and things is amazing. But I just feel like when you zoom into your images, processing, they're just not as sharp. They're just nowhere near as sharp, I don't think. But I've watched quite a lot of videos on this camera. I've talked to different photographers. I've checked my settings with different photographers. So I'm hoping I can work out this camera and learn to love it. So yeah, that is 2.5 minutes of me blabbering away. I will stop now and only talk when I find something that's worth talking about. So I've just got up onto the kind of top road. So I'm going to get set up. Oh, so this is my new camera mount, which is pretty easy. I mean, you just chuck it over the door and it just hooks on, kind of keeps itself there. I altered it the other night, so I actually need to set it back up because I was testing whether it was more stable the higher or lower you have it, but it didn't make a huge amount of difference. So it is obviously, this bit is one piece, and then the top bit is a Gitzo gimbal. So you basically put it over and then you can attach your camera. It is quite windy tonight, so this should be interesting. So that is the attachment. Like I say, it just hooks over, it has rubbers on it so that it doesn't mark your car, and it's pretty secure. You can drive around with it. So yeah, and then like I say, Canon R1 is the new camera, and then my trusty 200-400 lens. So bear in mind, everything is quite far away, so I'm not necessarily going to photograph it, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 black grouse, probably about 50 golden plover, a couple of lapwings, a couple of oyster catchers, and a massive curlew. Curlews, I forget how big they are. Is that another black grouse? Yeah, so there's all of those species in this one field, which is always pretty cool to see. But everything is quite far away. I'll try and get some film to show. That's actually quite a cool shot. It's literally black grouse. What was that? Black grouse, oyster catcher, another black grouse, golden plover, and lapwing, all in like one zigzag line. In fact, there is definitely more black grouse in this field as well. This estate has, last year they did a count, and it was like over 100 males, which is just insane. So they have a really good black grouse population on this bit of ground. There's 3 black grouse right here. And then there's, yes, I reckon there's like maybe 12 black grouse in that field, just having a feed. See something else ahead as well. Let's see what we can find. Sun has just dipped behind the clouds, which is really annoying, but there's 5 grey hens as well, which is very nice. They're just sat really quiet. Probably won't stick around very long because grey hens don't tend to. Yeah, they moved. I went to a lek on this bit of ground last year, and there was 15 grey hens in one go, like all in the same space. And when I started going to leks, probably 5 years ago now, there used to be like 1 or 2, and that was phenomenal. And yeah, last year there was 15 all in one space at the same time. Some more lapwing. Yeah, I've got some footage of it from last year, so I'll put that in because it was just so cool to see. So this is like the end of the road here, so you have to turn around. The road ends and then it goes up onto the fell. But I could sit and look at this view all day. Like, it's just beautiful, this valley. And on a nice sunny evening, when the sun hits it, it's so like orangey all the way down the valley. And I love the shadows that it creates. Yeah, it's a very beautiful valley. Most important part about photography, snaps. 100%. The most important part is snaps. It's a pair of oyster catchers. I love an oyster catcher. I mean, I love every bird, as you can probably tell from these videos and me talking, but their parenting skills are like top tier compared to some of the other waders. Well, I've just spotted the owl, so I've turned around. I'm going to follow it down and see if I can get some shots of it. It seems to be hunting quite close to the road, which obviously makes my life easier because this road is walled on both sides, so you can't go anywhere to follow them if they go off the road. So yeah, let's see what we can get. Well, I had some success with the owl. It actually flew right towards me, and it's like my first owl photography of the year. So my brain was like video, photo, like what do I do? So I got a bit of video and then I swapped and took some pictures as well, because I couldn't resist. I find it so hard to choose between the two things, because I'm like, some social media, like Instagram, I enjoy Instagram probably the most, and that is more photos, I would say. But then YouTube, you need video footage for, and that's what most of my videos are used for, just my own social media. Like I do use them for some businesses that I work for, but even that, it's mainly photographs for websites or brochures. So the photos probably pay more than the video, but I enjoy doing video because I enjoy doing these blogs and things. So I find it hard to choose between what I should be doing. But I did get a bit of both. The light's kind of gone a little bit. It might, I think it will come back out. But I'm just slowly driving my way home and I'll see if I see anything. So yeah, not a bad night. Black grouse, grey hen, oystercatcher curlew, lapwing, golden plover, barn owl, pheasants. Tons of pheasants up here. I almost feel guilty because I ignore pheasants, and I'm like, they are a beautiful bird, but they're so common obviously everywhere else. Up here they are actually completely wild pheasants, and they are beautiful birds. Like, they deserve to be photographed, but obviously to everyone else it's just a pheasant. So these guys up here should get more credit, considering they're just totally wild. A lot of cock pheasants around this year, I think. Oh, there's a hare. Lots of starlings as well. Like a lot of starlings around. Some actually just flying up there. So yeah, not a bad night. Like I say, can't complain in terms of range of species. And one field had like 4 or 5 species in by itself. God, I think I've just found the northeast wader population. I've been on the opposite side of the valley photographing, and it's very high walls across there, so it's quite hard to get close to anything. And I've just come across to the other side of the valley, and there is like thousands of lapwing, curlew and oystercatcher just sat in the fields. So safe to say on my next trip here I will be coming here first. Well, I am officially on my way home. The light is just kind of dropping below the hills now, so that is the end of tonight's photography. It's still, like, obviously it still gets dark pretty much at, what, it's 25 to 6, so the sun's kind of gone by 5:30ish. But that was so cool. I went to the other side of the valley and there was just hundreds of waders, and redshank in there as well, which I haven't seen. That's my first redshank that I've seen, so it was very cool to see. My game of is it a molehill or is it a bird continues, because is it a molehill? It's a molehill. Oh, wrong way. All molehills except for one crow. God, I need the farmers to flatten their fields out so that I don't constantly think I can see a bird when it's just a molehill. But yeah, like I said earlier, pretty good range of species. What are they? Lapwing. Are they lapwing? No, curlew. Total wrong birds. It's because it's getting dark, so they're all grey. God, there's like 40 curlew there. Really nice. Like, I love this like spring, like early spring orangey light on these hills. But I'm just gonna slowly make my way home, and then that's tonight done. It's not enough time to get around all these roads. Once you get properly into summer and it doesn't get dark till like 11 o'clock, I can be out most of the night, and there's so many roads to cover here. Sorry, this is my dog whistle, my spare one. It's constantly in the way of my camera. There's 2 farm cats. I see those farm cats every time I come here. They usually sat on the stable door. But yeah, in proper summer there's so much ground to cover here, but you've got time to do it, which is great. Whereas at the minute I feel almost like pressured to cover as much ground as possible, just to see what is about, because nothing is settled yet. So it's just kind of seeing what has arrived, what the numbers are like, which weighted numbers seem really good so far. So hopefully we have a good spring. That would be ideal. And if you want to learn more about waders, I did an article last month for Scribe Hound about curlew and curlew conservation, and then I did an article this month about lapwing and kind of the contrast between 2 red listed birds, 2 waders, 2 indicator species of multiple habitats, because that's what a lapwing is and that's what a curlew is, and why the curlew is so much more important to all of our charities. It's kind of become like the poster child of conservation. And whilst doing my curlew article, there is loads of charities that are just dedicated to the curlew. Like, there's so much conservation work happening for that bird. Whereas the lapwing, I think I found like two, not even 2 charities, like one was a project and one was a charity, I think. And yeah, the contrast is just phenomenal, really, that one bird is so much more important than the other. But then that is our conservation industry and how it works. Whichever bird brings you the most money, I guess. It's my hot take of the day. So yeah, I will end